Hello, so today I'm filming the BookTube Newbie Tag, and I realize that it's pretty sad that I haven't filmed this yet. I just have made, book hauls and wrap-ups, and I feel like people watching this don't really know who I am, so I think that's kind of important to do this tag, and for whatever reason I just haven't done it. And I feel like a lot of, with my book hauls and stuff, I haven't been able to, be me, so this is going to be me. You'll see me who I really am, unscripted, as weird as I am, so that's going to be exciting for you to see, and hopefully people still watch these videos after that. The first question is, why did you start this channel? I started this channel because I'm currently majoring in journalism, and there's a lot of different career paths I can take with that, and I've always loved reading, and recently I've kind of found my love all over again, and I really want someday to work for a publishing company, and so I think helping me make these videos and making these videos is going to help me in a future career, so that's why I do it. What are some fun, unique things you can bring to BookTube? Well, originally when I first started making these videos, I feel like there are a lot of other booktubers out there who mainly read fantasy and mainly read, science fiction, and that's not my genre at all. I do not like reading science fiction fantasy books. I'm much more of a contemporary reader, and there are definitely many booktubers out there who are like that, but I think it'll be nice that there's someone, I guess, like me to add to the community of booktubers who read contemporary. And that sounds super arrogant, I hate saying that, but that's the question that was asked, so I'm just gonna answer that. What am I most excited for about this channel? Just kind of being able to make videos. I mean, I do enjoy editing videos. I used to do a lot of broadcasts in high school, and I really like editing videos and doing them and making them. So I'm excited about that, and I'm excited to see who else will watch these videos and who else will enjoy these videos. I'm just excited to connect with a bunch of other book nerds like me. The next question is, why do you love reading? And I feel like that's a very tough question. I feel like for this I just kind of have to go into my whole how I became a reader story, and hopefully that's not another question, but let me see if that is another question. Okay, it is another question, so I'll wait until that question pops up. I like reading just because it's like an escape from everyday life. It's just something that's really easy and simple to do, and I think it's really cool, especially in this day and age. So much of everyday life is technology based, like TVs, computers, all that kind of stuff. And that's a lot of people's daily lives, and I think reading, just an old-fashioned, physical book, is just nice to sit down with every once in a while, and it's just an escape from life, and I think that's why a lot of people read, but that might be a really standard answer, and now I feel dumb that I said that as my answer. The next question is, what book or series got me into reading? And I sat here for a few minutes trying to figure that out, and I really can't think of a specific book or series because I started reading avidly since I basically could read, so I don't remember what I first read that drew me into it. I think once I answer the question about when I started reading, I think you'll understand why I don't have an answer for this question. What questions would I ask my favorite booktubers? I don't know. I feel like I annoy them and bother them already on Twitter, so if I have questions, you can just freely ask them, which is nice. But two of the ones I can think of that are my favorite booktubers right now are Lovely Like Laura and Witty Novels. Those are my two favorites, and I feel like if you have a question, the Twitter world's great where you can just tweet them the questions. So I can't think of any questions. I usually ask them what books they like to read, things like that. Just whatever. I mean, I don't know. Whatever you feel like asking. I think that's cool that technology is that way that you can ask whatever questions you want. So I feel like I can't think of any questions that I would ask now. So basically the next question is, what challenges do I think I'm going to have with the BookTube channel? I think it's going to be hard with a lot of people, actually with anybody at the BookTube channel, because usually this isn't your main focus on life. The BookTube channel is an outside hobby, so I think one of the hardest things is going to be just making time to make videos, editing them, filming them. Of course you love what you do, but it's sometimes hard to find that with, a lot of us are students, a lot of us are, parents. A lot of booktubers out there are parents, or a lot of people have full-time jobs, so I think it's going to be hard to make time to make the videos. But as long as you think you're still passionate about it, I'm a firm believer if you're passionate about something, you'll find the time to make it work, so that's kind of my philosophy on that. Okay, now we're to the question that'll answer a lot of questions prior, which I should have answered this much earlier, but I'm following a list of questions, and that is, when did I start reading? And this is a very kind of weird story, but I always remember this. People ask me, oh, how'd you start reading? And this is the story I go to, but When I was like 6 or 7, I had moved from St. Louis to Omaha, which is where I'm now from. Um, and there's a lot of things that go on moving. You know, you can't, a lot of times, we moved into a rental house, which was much smaller than our current house when we moved to Omaha. So we couldn't bring single thing we wanted into our rental house because there wasn't enough room and it just didn't make sense. So we had to be very selective in what we brought into the rental house. And 7 years old, you know, I'm like just in first grade, we're learning all these things, and I was falling behind because my school in Omaha was learning how to tell time, and in St. Louis we had not gotten to that point. People, you know, all these other kids in my class were looking at a clock and could tell the time, and I had no idea. So I told people I never learned how to read a clock. Granted, I do know how, but I never like formally learned how to read a clock. I just pretty much taught myself because the kids in Omaha were way past where I was with that, so I just kind of had to teach myself, basically. That's besides the point. So I was falling behind. I wasn't very, not that I wasn't smart, I was smart, but it was just, I was struggling because all these kids were ahead of where we were and our, you know, learning. And so I remember we didn't have a ton of toys in our house, again, because it doesn't make sense to bring everything into the house. And I remember we had a box of books in the garage, and we just had them there. They, you know, were books that I could read. They were for my age, like, you know, 7 at the time. And I remember I opened the box of books, and I read one, and then I just read them all, like, pretty much sitting there at that moment. I read all of the books in the box. And I remember that so well, and I remember just, I wanted to keep reading, and that's what happened, basically. And that's why people always ask me, like, oh, how are you smart? Why do you think you're smart? Like, what do you do? And I honestly am a firm believer in that reading helps make you smarter, because after that, I could keep up with my class. I was doing well. So that is how I started reading. So I started reading basically the age of 6 or 7 when most kids start reading, and then that's where it took off, and now here I am today. Where do I read? Now, that kind of depends. Here in Florida, at my apartment, I read like in my bedroom or read in the living room, or I've started reading audiobooks on the bus during that commute to school. At home I read in my room, or I read like in the living room, or whatever. I mean, usually it's like a bedroom setting is where I typically read. And what kind of books do I like to read? I kind of answered this earlier. My favorite books to read are contemporary books. I will try a science fiction book. Someone recommended me to try to read Overlander, and I know that series is so popular right now, but that is so not my genre, but I'm trying it anyway. I know there's a little bit of like elements of romance, so I can get through that part. And I do read, of course, romances. Sorry, I'm a Nicholas Sparks fan. Sorry, that's just me. I apologize, but I typically read contemporary. That's like my go-to. Those are all the questions I had to answer today. I hope you learned a little bit more about me. If you have any more questions or anything, feel free to comment below, whatever they are, and I will see you next time.